I sometimes become very frustrated at philosophy. It's just words or language games, although saying that it's language games is already doing philosophy, making a philosophical statement. But especially when you take some real and concrete thing or process like consciousness, which is not just something linguistic. It's not just a linguistic construct. It's real. It's this. It's the taste of coffee. It's real, non-conceptual, although it can be conceptualized. So, in that case, the artificiality and duality of language becomes so obvious, because no matter how I describe this coffee, it's always distinct from the experience itself. The experience itself is always ineffable. And this applies to philosophy, like when you say that experiences are qualitative. It's just a linguistic model, conceptual model of experiences. Or when you say that experiences are neural processes, that also is a conceptual model of experience based on neuroscience. And the mind-body problem is essentially this difference between two kinds of descriptions. Like, if you describe the taste of the coffee as something qualitative, then you have the problem of how is the quality related to the quantity. How is this taste as a qualitative experience related to the quantitative descriptions of science, that it's a neural process? Neurons firing at a specific rate in a recurrent process, that is a quantitative description. And what is common to both quantitative and qualitative descriptions is that they are both just descriptions and distinct from the thing in itself, that they are about this taste of the coffee. And somehow that makes all the philosophical debates, especially about consciousness, so annoying and frustrating, that it's always circulating around the real thing, but never getting at it. But there is somehow more here. So consciousness is a good case example because it somehow brings forth the reality of this problem, that, or actually the problem itself is already here in this, what I'm saying now, when I say that there is this experience of the taste and that there are descriptions about the experience. So I already now performed the problem. Like it's a performative act, like performing the problem, sort of, or demonstrating the problem. Because the taste itself that I'm undergoing here, experiencing the aftertaste right now, it's also distinct from this that I'm doing now, this conceptual process. Although this conceptual process is about the experience in itself, but the experience continually escapes the characterizations. It's always distinct from the characterizations. And it doesn't matter whether the characterization is introspective or subjective, or whether it is objective or scientific. In both cases, what is most central and what is real, the real philosophical problem, is that the description is always distinct from the object of description, in this case, the taste of the coffee. So we can demonstrate this by taking a person who doesn't have capacity for taste experiences and no smell, olfactory and gustatory senses are taken away from them. So they cannot know what this coffee tastes like. And actually you cannot taste, because I might be lying. This is actually tea. No. A person incapable of having these taste experiences, or similar ones, or like type identical, as they say in philosophy, they cannot know what it's like to taste the coffee, even if I describe it to them, saying that it's bitter and sour and somehow also fruity and a bit earthy. This doesn't mean anything to that person incapable of tasting coffee, or who has never tasted coffee. Someone who has never tasted coffee can of course infer, like partly based on their previous experiences, what this experience is like extrapolating from their previous experiences. But if they are incapable of having these type of experiences altogether, then they cannot know, they cannot infer. So it's ineffable. It cannot be described, this experience. The description, and this demonstrates how the description is always completely distinct from the described, the object of description. It can never communicate or express what the thing in itself is like, that it is about. And this applies to subjective descriptions, like I just made this earthy and bitter and so on, as well as scientific descriptions, that it's a recurrent neural process activating these and these areas. It makes no difference, no real difference for this debate. The problem remains. And I started, this is a really quick note to myself. I started by saying how I'm annoyed at philosophy, how it's just language games, just concepts circulating around this obvious thing, this experience itself, existence here right now. This, what is like concrete and real. And that is the problem. That is the philosophical problem. And when you become frustrated at philosophy for these reasons, then you are at the core of the problem. Because that is the philosophical problem. That frustration of being incapable of that impossibility of expressing how things are, like impossibility of saying anything of things in themselves, how it's all just language games that are revolving around the thing in itself. And just to somehow see how this is the problem of philosophy is to see the real philosophical problem.